My name is Jeremy Krebs. I'm an endocrinologist and I work here in Wellington, Capital Coast Health. And I not only have a clinical role, but a very strong research interest in diabetes, particularly in type 2 diabetes. And I'm part of the science leadership team for the National Science Challenge, and it's in that capacity that I'm here today, and thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you. But the principal purpose of my presentation today is to actually seek feedback and consult with you as an entity who have the primary interest at heart of people with diabetes in New Zealand, and to seek feedback from you in an informal way today, but to give you the opportunity for a more formal feedback approach to the direction of research which is being undertaken as part of the science challenges. So the particular science challenge that I'm part of is Healthier Lives, but I'll give you a little bit more of a background because I imagine there's probably people in this room who don't know too much about the science challenges, what they are and where they've come from, etc. So several years ago now, 8 or 9 years ago I think it was, the government decided to try and take a new approach to funding science research in New Zealand, and went out to the population to ask for contributions from the population as to what was important to New Zealanders and what areas of research the country should be investing in and focusing on. And with a view to this approach called mission-led approach, and achieving major and enduring benefit for New Zealand. The idea behind it was to say that we've got lots of incredibly talented researchers and people in New Zealand, but they often get rather siloed into their own institutions, and that the science challenges were an opportunity to try and harness the multidisciplinary skills of people between institutions, interact more with communities, with people, to actually try and formulate and then answer some of the important science questions. It also very much encompasses a strong influence of Vision Mātauranga, which is essentially the principles behind including, involving, harnessing and empowering Māori within New Zealand to be part of the process and the importance of that. So of the science challenges, there are 3 science challenges which have relevance for health and well-being, and those are A Better Start, Healthier Lives and Aging Well. And all 3 of these science challenges, you can imagine, would have direct relevance for people with diabetes. As I've mentioned, I'm part of the Healthier Lives Science Challenge, and that's what I will be talking to you about more today. However, I know that both of the other 2 science challenges are also involved with work in this area as well. So the Healthier Lives Science Challenge, the vision of this is, as you might expect, healthier lives for New Zealanders. And after a lot of work at the very beginning of this, and Deb will recall she was involved in the process to begin to formulate what our mission was for this, and that's come down to this statement here: to deliver the right prevention to the right population and the right treatment for the right patient. In other words, very much a concept of focusing on individualizing management for people, targeting management towards people and to populations or population groups. So that has been the principle behind this science challenge. We're now a few years into it, and after consultation with MB, there's been a refocusing, if you like, of some of the goals, and been realised that to gain the greatest impact from this science challenge, that the focus probably needs to be on translating existing knowledge. There's lots and lots of research and information out there, both from New Zealand itself, but also worldwide research on management of diabetes, pre-diabetes, type 1, type 2, etc. But what's often been lacking is the translation of that into impacting on the lives of people. And also to focus on developing precision medicine for New Zealand's population. Again, we can take lots of knowledge from around the world, but we want to actually target that down on what that means for people in New Zealand and our diverse and specific population. And that all encompasses the understanding and knowledge that in New Zealand there are significant health inequalities between some of the ethnic groups, particularly in New Zealand, and for Maori and Pacific particularly, who have higher risk of developing diabetes, and of course I'm talking about type 2 diabetes there, and to really understand that and begin to focus on reducing those inequalities. So that all sounds fantastic, but the wonderful mission statement, the realities of this are that the money is not a lot. In the first 5 years of the Science Challenge, we had $13.3 million to invest, and this was to solve the problems of cancer, cardiovascular disease, obesity, and diabetes. It's a fairly easy task, isn't it, with that sum of money? So the reality is the amount of money targeted to this is small. However, we were very fortunate is that as the second part of these 5 years, we were able to partner with the Health Research Council and with the Ministry of Health, who together contributed a further $5.7 million to the pot that was specifically focused on long-term conditions, of which diabetes was the primary focus of that. So we were fortunate to boost the pot. The next phase of the Science Challenges is between 2019 and 2024, and there's a little bit more money available then, 17.6 million. Now, the investment of that is dependent on progress and positive outcomes from the first part of the Science Challenge, and I think it would be fair to say with a change of government, the structure, etc., may well change. So although this is the expectation that we're going to have this sort of money to be investing, the reality of that may be slightly different as we come to that. However, the importance is that we want to gain feedback and consultation to know whether we're on track, whether we're asking and answering the right questions, and where to from here. So of the money that's been invested so far, you'll see from this slide that there's diversity around the country geographically as to which institutions and organisations have received funding, and quite a range of institutions, as you can see there. From our mission statement, you recall the mission was to the right prevention for the right population and the right treatment for the right individual, and this just gives you a little schematic of how the money's been invested so far into projects that span the breadth of those mission statements, with obviously some overlap there in the middle. So just to bring it back to diabetes, because you'll recall that the Science Challenge included cancer, cardiovascular disease and obesity, but to focus it on diabetes for the purpose of today's discussion, I'll just want to give you some information, and I feel like I'm teaching you to suck eggs really, because if this audience doesn't know this stuff, then I don't know who would. But this just sets the scene as to what informed the science leadership team as to where we should focus our research. So this is the diabetes prevalence in New Zealand between 2005 on the left and 2015 on the right. So up the y-axis there is the percentage in the population that have diabetes, and across the bottom, and I apologise, the left thing's missing the age groups, but you'll see this is by decade across the bottom there. Now, the striking things I want you to notice from this information is that, perhaps not surprisingly, diabetes becomes more common in the older populations.